Tonight we're hearing new details from family members on the death of 17-year-old Maria Pollock, allegedly at the hands of her dad. Maria was found dead at the scene. Family members spoke exclusively with WTOC at the scene today. And Maria's aunt tells us that her father, Maurice Pollock, allegedly killed his daughter. Maria's aunt says she was horrified by the tragedy her family's now going through.
She was just a firecracker. She's a high school student. She just got selected to be a cheerleader, so she was excited for that. It's not a call you want to hear. You hope for the best as a family, but when you find out what's going on, it's really devastating for her mom and all her family right now, especially her siblings and everybody. It's so soon, and it's too early, and you know, the mom should never lose her child before they're gone. No parent should.
17-year-old Maria Pollock, affectionately known as Ladybug to her family, was a beautiful, bubbly, kind, funny, outgoing, and adventurous teen who enjoyed life, a true girly girl. Maria loved to dance and was a member of the Star Dance Company. She attended A.E. Beach High School and was super excited about joining the cheerleading team for the upcoming school year. Maria had so many hopes and dreams and plans for the future. She was looking forward to all life had to offer. No one could have ever imagined that someone who was ultimately supposed to guide and protect Maria would cut her life short at the blink of an eye, changing the lives of those who knew and loved her forever. Around 11 p.m. on July 21st, Savannah police detectives responded to a home on the 900 block of Adele Street for reports of a shooting. Upon arrival, they would locate an unresponsive teenage girl and an adult male. The victim was identified as 17-year-old Maria Pollock, who was sadly pronounced dead after succumbing to multiple stab wounds to her abdomen. The male was identified as Maria's father, 43-year-old Maurice Pollock, who was suffering from a single gunshot wound that appeared to be self-inflicted. Maurice was quickly rushed to Memorial Health University Medical Center for treatment and listed as critically injured. An investigation into the murder quickly helped SPD identify Maria's own father as the prime suspect in her death. Maria's mother recounted the moment she found her lying unconscious in her room, suffering from brutal stab wounds to her abdomen. In fact, the damage is too graphic to even describe. In the corner of the room, she would find her husband of 20 years with his hands above his head, pacing back and forth in a panic. All of this was unfolding as one of her sons was screaming.
I grabbed her and pulled her. Her mouth was open, and it's just like she wasn't here anymore.
That's how Tanya Pollock found her 17-year-old daughter inside her home on the evening of July 20th. Surrounded by her family, she recounted the next moments. The suspect, someone she couldn't believe, her husband, Maurice.
I see that man who's supposed to be my husband, who's supposed to love my kids and us, standing in the corner with his hands over his head like this, and I'm looking like, what is going on? Maurice is screaming. Maurice says, call the police.
All of this while one of her sons was screaming. She then walked into her daughter's room.
I was screaming her name, and I was like, what did you do?
Her mother attempted to call 911, but the operator had a hard time understanding what was going on through the cries and screams coming from the background. Her mother then ran to a neighbor's home for help. It was at that moment she heard the sound of a single gunshot. She would return to the home, only to find her husband, Maria's father, Maurice, inside of her room, kneeled down on the ground with a visible gunshot wound. All she could do was grab Maria's lifeless body and cradle her in her arms until the police arrived.
She tried to call 911, but the dispatchers couldn't understand her. She then went to her neighbor's house.
That's when I heard the gunshot go off. I ran back over to the house, and that man was on the floor in her room. And I just grabbed my daughter and I held her until the police got there.
Now her family is looking for answers, one of those family members saying they want Maurice to, quote, suffer. And despite him being her husband of 20 years, Tanya wants justice to be served.
It's kind of hard to say that, but at the same time, it's what's needed to be done for my daughter because she didn't deserve that.
Family and friends gathered for a candlelight vigil at the home where Maria would ultimately take her last breath. the home on Adele Street that will forever be a haunting reminder of the sinister events that took place. Emotions ran high, and many were still left visibly devastated and confused. What would cause a father to take the life of his own daughter? What secrets was he possibly trying to hide? Was he afraid that Maria would come forward with information that perhaps he didn't want anyone to find out about? Or was this a so-called case of mental health, a father battling his own demons? No one would ever truly know what caused Maurice to take his daughter's life, except for him. And until he decides to tell the truth, Maria's mother and family will continue to hold on to her memory, and most importantly, fight for justice. In their words, they want Maurice to suffer to the full extent.
Imagine waking up, seeing somebody every day for 17 years, and then one day not seeing them.
A mother's pain echoing across Adele Street Wednesday night. After losing her teen daughter just days before, 17-year-old Maria Pollock was found dead on that same street Saturday night in what SPD says was a domestic dispute. Friends and family still in shock of the news.
Oh, Maria's unresponsive. And it just broke me, and I didn't know. And it's okay. And I was checking like the tracking app.
It's okay. The last thing I told her was, if she needed anything, just let me know. That's the last thing I told her. And when I got the call and heard about this, it just broke my heart, and I just couldn't believe it.
Maria's aunt saying she had so many plans.
She was just growing up. She was ready to cheer. She's just always been an adventurous, outgoing, fun-loving person.
And a mother just wanting her daughter back.
I don't know why it happened. I don't know the reason why it happened. All I can say is thank you for all of this love and support, and I just wish that she was here.
17-year-old Maria Pollock was laid to rest on August 3rd at the Sexton Hall Funeral Home in Port Wentworth, Georgia. 43-year-old Maurice Pollock was subsequently released from the hospital and taken into custody on a murder charge. The motive for the murder is still unknown, and the case remains ongoing.